Pinocchio, the true and dark story behind the tale of Disney and Guillermo del Toro. Pinocchio. The original story was written by the Italian Carlo Collodi between 1881 and 1882 in a series of stories called Adventures of Pinocchio, which were illustrated strips that were published in the Giornale per One Bambini newspaper. Pinocchio in the original story was a spoiled puppet who, as soon as he was created by Gepetto, he kicked his creator, stole his wig, and fled. Upon being found by the old man, he took him by the neck, for which he was accused of abuse and taken to jail. As for Jimmy Cricket, he also appeared in the original story, but he was killed by Pinocchio himself after suggesting that he behaved well so as not to end up in trouble. Pinocchio, or Pinocho, as is known in Spanish, is one of the most popular classic tales of all times, used by parents to influence the honesty of their children. It had its main impulse thanks to the adaptation of Disney in 1940. The story of the tender wooden puppet that comes to life with the peculiarity that his nose grows every time he says lies and dreams of becoming a real child fill the imagination of children and adults. However, the actual story itself, it is a bit disturbing, as it is about a boy who receives numerous punishments for not listening to his dad. And worst of all, the original version of the story is even more terrifying, and the protagonist suffers much cruel punishments than in the animated film, where the children were turned into donkeys. And there we tell you that the version untold by Disney. Contrary to the charming Disney doll, Pinocchio was an ungrateful and lazy character who, despite everything he did, received affection from Gepetto, who took care of him and sent him to school, but instead, he went to a puppet theater in which he is captured by the owner. When he managed to escape, he finds other criminals on his way who try to hurt Pinocchio, were the fox and the cat, who stuck knives into him, and when they saw that they did not hurt him, they hammed him up to steal some coins until he died. After the end of the story, the readers asked Collodi to continue with the story, this creating a more sadistic second part than the first, in which, after lying to a beautiful blue-haired woman, who is the one who rescued him from hanging to death, the doll began to grow a nose. Pinocchio learned that the blue-haired woman died of sadness, not finding him, and that Gepetto went to look for him at sea. This is where they lead to the island of games, where Pinocchio lives happily and freely for a few months until he realizes that all the children there turn into donkeys. Pinocchio, already converted into a donkey, he is sold to a circus where he is mistreated. Then the owner sells him to an old man who wants Pinocchio's skin to make a drum. So he ties it to a stone and throws it into the sea. The fish eat the skin of the donkey, and Pinocchio managed to return to his original form. Later in the sea, Pinocchio is eaten by a giant shark, and inside, he finds Gepetto, who was lived there for 2 years. One night, when the shark was asleep with his mouth open, the carpenter and the puppet managed to escape. After this, Pinocchio finally learns his lesson and decides to put laziness aside and start working on a farm, taking care of his father and going to school. One morning, he wakes up, turning into a real boy. However, the path through which he had to pass was green beneath it. True story. Leave your comment, subscribe, and like El Tupa!